Hey, Miami sports fans. Stop by Caneswear today at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. And check out their awesome merchandise selection of your favorite South Florida sports teams. From the Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, Heat, Marlins, Florida Panthers, and Inter Miami, they've got it all. Celebrate your favorite team and show off your fandom with their beautiful team starter jackets, killer-looking helmets, team jerseys, cool shirts, and more. And if you're out of town or out of state, no worries. Go to caneswear.com and find everything they have on their site. Select what you want, and they will ship your gear to you. Anything over $99 is shipped for free. Don't wait. Stop at Caneswear today.
It's back. The green is running.
Bobby, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good morning, unless you're on Central Time. I'm Bobby Fitz Talk. That's the one only Fish Tank Hank, and you're watching Fitz Talk today on the Fitz Talk Sports Network. Fish Tank, how the hell are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I've been looking at stuff, and my wife and I have been looking at places further down south to possibly live and things like that. So that's always exciting when you're in the look and plan process. You know what I mean? Because I usually do that about 2 years out. So we're going to look and plan and figure out where we want to live closer to the Miami Dolphins, which, is totally going to hurt my feelings, of course.
Oh, my goodness. It's always fun to start planning on moving and looking at places. Always kind of the excitement of it all. So very cool.
Yeah. Well, we're about 2 years, 3 years out. So we just want to have our, don't get sticker shock when we go down there.
I understand. I get that. Yeah, brother. You better say this. It is. Hey, what's exciting yet kind of nervous, and you were saying it's scary, is the draft is only 2 weeks away. We're getting there. We are getting there. I was just finishing up working on my round one mock draft for the NFL mock draft, and then I did my Miami Dolphins team mock, which was be revealed on Monday night. Well, I think Monday night. I'm not sure yet, but I'm working on that because, Fish Tank, how things constantly change, but it's getting exciting. And the smoke is starting to clear a little bit. A picture is starting to get a little bit clearer. Dolphin news this week, plenty to talk about. I see people going, oh, there's nothing to talk about. What are you talking about? There's plenty to talk about.
Always something to talk about.
Always something to talk about. And I'm not talking about stupidity or drama or none of that. I'm talking about actual Dolphin news, such as Tua talking extension. Does he plan to hold out? The draft. Hey, one of the big favorites for the Miami Dolphins at 21, or possibly later if they trade down, depending on what stories you're hearing, Jackson Powers Johnson. He's visiting Miami in a top 30 visit. A lot of fun news for the Dolphins. Exciting because you started going, ooh, okay. And here's something, Jackson Powers, if he's the pick at 21, people go, wait, I said it. Dolphins signed Aaron Brewer, the center out of the Tennessee Titans. He could play guard, but more than likely he's the center. Jackson Powers played right guard in Oregon before moving to center. I think he had like 20 plus starts or something. Who did we lose this offseason? Robert Hunt. We need a right guard. So don't sleep on Jackson Powers at possibly guard if we take him. So much to talk about. But Fish Tank, let's go ahead and get this started. Talking about possible draft picks. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Mock drafts are a lot of fun, Fish Tank, but it's not a perfect science. We don't know what the Dolphins are going to do.
Anybody can manipulate a draft. It's not hard to do. And, you can always pick the low-hanging fruit of the players that drop like 20 spots that aren't realistically going to be there. And, that's what I'm talking about. It's you got to, when you're actually doing it, you got to police yourself and say, hey, is that person really going to be there? No.
So how I did it, Fish Tank, you're absolutely right. That's why, first off, the draft could go any way. There's a guy that will say, oh, he's not going to get drafted that high, and he'll be drafted in the first round. Or a guy we thought was going to go real high is going to go in the third round. It just happens all the time. So the way I actually do my mocks is, first off, I pull up all the recent news and rumors for every team. I pull up all the team needs, Fish Tank.
Mm-hmm.
I go, first off, round one, so if I look, okay, we know, first off, round one, and I'm probably spoiling a little here, but I just want to just say it very quick. But we know Caleb Williams more likely is going number 1. Jaden Daniels, number 2.
Yeah.
Quarterback, number 3. What happens at 4? That's when the draft really starts. Because does Arizona keep that pick, or does Arizona trade that pick? And if Arizona keeps that pick, we know more than likely it's wide receiver, whether it's Neighbors out of LSU or Marvin Harrison out of Ohio State. Then number 5, that's the Chargers. Now, supposedly Chicago's thinking about trading up to get Marvin Harrison. So, Fish Tank, first of all, the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins is that quarterback goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And then possibly when you look at the Raiders, who are at 13, do they go offensive line or do they go quarterback? Michael Penix, Bo Nix, same thing with Denver. That's going to be huge for Miami, because what does that do? That pushes better players down to us. So
absolutely.
I just love this time of year, Fish Tank.
In the first round, we're going to see people come down. We're going to. It's just we don't know who. We don't know who. There's always a couple players that slip down to us. But I'm thinking if Miami trades back, even just a few spots to get 1 or 2 picks, you know what I mean? I think this is the year to do it, to be totally honest with you. I mean, there's plenty of wide receivers. There's plenty of tight ends. There's plenty of offensive linemen. There's plenty of edge. You have everything you need for our team right now. Guards, O-linemen, whatever you want. I mean, it's all there this year. We don't really have to have a safety. We don't really have to have a cornerback. We don't have to have a D lineman. There's a few spots that they've kind of patchworked, in my opinion. It's all a matter of what their plan is, and I have no clue. However, common sense would say they're going to go after those 3 areas. You know what I mean? So, we'll see, though.
Scotty, California, CCRR, all tuning in. Whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you're watching. But first of all, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, hop on over to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Scotty, over under on first round trades, 4.5. What do you take? So he says 4.5 trades. I think that's great. I think that is right on the money.
I think so.
I think I'm between 4 to 5 trades. And
Arizona at 27, he's got 2. I like that.
Yeah.
I like
Arizona at 27. Yeah.
Them. That would be exactly. I agree. That would be perfect.
Well, the teams that could trade up into Miami's spot, possibly looking at offensive linemen. I know a lot of people, and again, I'm not sleeping on offensive line because I think I have a favorite in mind where I think Miami could go, because we just talked about Jackson Powers. But edge rusher, the way Miami is free agency, our offseason has gone, again, they're trying hard to bring in OBJ. They want that third wide receiver. They're not comfortable with who they've got.
No.
So if they don't bring in OBJ, or he just wants too much money, don't sleep on receiver in the NFL draft for the Dolphins, especially early.
I know.
You see,
people it was weird because about a month ago, people got mad when I put wide receiver first, but you don't know. What if imagine if we're sitting there at 21 and Neighbors just falls in your lap, or Bowers falls in your lap. You're not going to take one of them? Sure you are.
You're damn
sure
right.
You are.
So, well, and that's the thing, I mean, you think of Brian Thomas, LSU wide receiver that plays
another
6'4", big dude, speed, has it all, great hands. You don't take that? No, you do. Do I think he's going to be there? No, I don't. But those are guys that, and first of all, you don't only do it for now. People go, oh, but we don't need a receiver. First of all, yes, you do. Right now, you do. What do you got Tyreek, Jalen, and Braxton Barrios and so forth. Does that make you feel good? No, we need a third legitimate guy. And then you got to think about the future.
We need a big body.
We need a big body. But you also need a guy for a future because Jalen Waddle's coming on a contract year. We saw what happened with Christian Wilkins. That's to play out the same way. Tyreek Hill is, he said after his contract he's retiring. He got a year or two left on his contract. Miami can't play around that. The other position, now they met with Carl Lawson, Jets edge rusher, free agent, solid guy. That tells me edge rusher is definitely in play for Miami. We know the fascination of edge rusher for Mike McDaniel, where he said, I would love to draft an edge rusher every year. Offensive line, obviously, we need a right guard. We need another probably tackle. I don't know. But really, a guard is what we need. Or a center. You move to center to guard. Either way. Defensive line, even though Miami is pretty good on depth, you still need a good, strong caliber defensive lineman to pair with Zach Sealer. So for me, though, the 3 spots, Fish Tank, and you disagree or agree with me, at 21 or within the Miami's first pick, because you don't know if they're moving down. But edge rusher, wide receiver, interior offensive lineman. Those are my 3 zone picks for Miami. Best player available, obviously. But that's it. We agree.
Yeah, totally.
Right there, brother. Right there.
Totally. How could we not agree on that? And if any one of those 3 are sitting there, it fills a need and it fills BPA. So, I mean, in my opinion, any one of those 3 could be Miami's first pick is what I'm trying to say.
100%.
And it just all depends. Is Mike McDaniel sitting there chomping at the bit going, oh, man, there's verse. Gotta have him. We're getting him. He fell. He's 17 on my big board. He fell down to 27 or 21 or wherever we're at. They take him. I wouldn't be upset.
No.
I wouldn't be upset. I'd be happy.
How could you not? Again, you don't know. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb more than likely are coming back. They look like they're trajected to come back at least at the start of the season or a little bit right after. But again, Jalen Phillips is into a contract year. Bradley Chubb has a big contract. He could be moved sooner rather than later, after next season. You need to be ready. You don't want to be like, oh, I got to make another trade or, oh, I got to, it's playing smart right now for the Dolphins. Scotty says, my latest hot take is we trade down with the first or second and grab a safety with the top pick. So, people say, wait, I'm going to say why that's not a crazy thought.
Panthers.
What about the Panthers? I'm sorry.
Panthers are at what, 33?
Oh, Panthers could trade up. They could look to grab a wide receiver if a receiver's there that they really like to pair with Bryce
Miami
Young.
trades back to the beginning of the first round. They'll pick up those picks they need.
Absolutely. And let me just say for Scotty, why it's not crazy that Miami could go safety, even though we brought in Jordan Poyer for 1 season. That's the key, 1 season. We got Javon Holland, who's going to go into a contract year eventually. But when Miami signed Jordan Poyer, they wanted to bring back Deshaun Elliott as well. That would have been 3 very good caliber safeties for the Dolphins. Yes. Don't sleep on safety for Miami with that pick. Scotty could be right on the money, depending on who's available. I think you could if you could trade down and get a couple extra picks, you could look at Jaden Hicks later, Bullock out of South California, USC. Another guy is, oh my goodness, he has a longer name. But there's a lot of decent players later in the draft. Ralphie boy, great to see you, my man. Cole Bishop.
Ralphie.
Yeah, Ralph's
Fins
watching.
up, everybody.
Heads up, everybody tuning in right now.
Hammer time.
Hammer time's in the house. Great to see him. But listen, there's a lot to think about. Let's look, though. We know it's great to sit there and go, man, I would love to take this guy. Oh, this guy's perfect. Oh, they're meeting with this guy. Truth is, they can meet with a guy. Doesn't mean they're going to take the guy. They could take a guy they've never met with. What's a key thing to look at, though, Fish Tank, is the way the guy making the decisions. Obviously, he has a team of scouts. He has partners. The owner helps make the coach. But the guy in charge of really saying the final guy, hey, go ahead and take this guy, is Chris Grier. The way to look back at that is to go back and look at really what he tends to look at. I saw an interesting article recently discussing traits Grier looks into a player. I thought it was great. I love looking at stuff like that. And I think it's good to help Dolphin fans kind of say, okay, we're saying we need a big receiver, but does Grier really go big receivers? Let's go ahead and pull that up, Fish Tank. I'll go ahead and go over this article, and then we'll react to that, okay? A moment here. All right. So this was from DolphinsWire.usatoday.com. It's what kind of traits does Chris Grier covet in Dolphins draft picks? This was written by Adam Stites. So credit to him. In 8 drafts with the Miami Dolphins, general manager Chris Grier has made 55 total selections. This has included 9 first-round picks, despite the Dolphins not picking in the top 50 in either of the last 2 drafts. Altogether, Chris Grier has picked 3 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 5 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, 10 offensive linemen. Again,
say that again, Bobby.
10 offensive linemen.
You know why I want you to say that again, Bobby? Because everybody says that he hasn't done anything about the line. He's tried. He just sucks at it. Go ahead, Bobby.
Fair game, my friend. 7. Trust me, right? That first off, shout out to Greg and Brett Legassi did overtime last night. Greg's first time doing a show. Former college offensive line coach, former offensive line player. It was an awesome show, Fish Tank. And he talked about that. He says, everybody says the Dolphins have to do something with offensive line. They've spent so much money, so much draft picks. It's like, oh my goodness. But anyway, 10 offensive linemen, 7 defensive linemen, 7 linebackers, 9 defensive backs, a kicker, and a long snapper. In all of those selections, a few trends have stood out. And thanks to analyst Orjan Manan, those trends are easy to compare against other NFL general managers. Here are 5 tendencies from Grier's previous drafts. Again, this is from DolphinsWire.usatoday.com, Adam Stites. So Grier likes, this is the first one, he likes offensive linemen who can jump. Okay. Combine drills. Let's see what he says here. Combine drills can feel a little silly at times for offensive linemen, but does that matter for how fast a 320-pound guy could do 40 yards? But lower body explosiveness is important in the trenches. Grier seems to be a big believer in that metric. The majority of the 10 offensive linemen he has picked up have put up big numbers in the broad jump. The average offensive tackle taken by Grier has recorded a 111-inch broad jump. For comparison, the average 4 tackles taken by teams in the past 13 drafts is 107.2. So the average for other teams, 107.2, compared to a Chris Grier-led team, which is 111. So who fits the bill in 2024 in terms of NFL prospects?
Hey, before we answer that, let me throw in another little comment here.
Yes, sir.
If that's the trend and he keeps on getting these guys that are great at the vertical and broad jump, then maybe he should change that trend a little bit.
Maybe.
Maybe he should back off on that over explosive whatever where they're overextending themselves and they blow out their knees and everything else. which they wind up doing a lot of our players get hurt. Our offensive linemen wind up getting hurt right away. Or he picks, yeah. Or he picks guys that are doing their broad jump that have their arms are too short. So, those are his trends. So change it a little bit. Change it a little bit.
Maybe you hit on one. So University of Central Florida's Talon Gravel and South Dakota State's Mason McCormick were the leaders at the combine amongst offensive linemen with 117-inch broad jumps each. The next one, a favorite among some Dolphin fans, Washington's interior offensive lineman Troy Fautanu was the standout amongst first-round prospects with a 113-inch jump.
You know what? I like that.
Hey.
You know why I like that?
3 of them there. Why is that?
That's 4 lower than normal for Greer. So if he takes them, that could be our first winner.
There you go. I like that. There you go. Greer wants running backs and safeties who can run. Obviously, he wants a running back who can run, but he means speed. That one. Most Miami Dolphins draft picks haven't stood out much in the 40-yard dash, but there are 2 exceptions: running back and safeties. At 2 positions where it's valuable to eat up space in the open field in a hurry, Greer has drafted for speed. His average running back ran a 4.45 40-yard dash, and his average safety has time at 4.46. League-wide averages, which is other NFL teams, 4.51 and 4.52, respectively. This philosophy has worked out for Miami last season, though, with speed for running back Devon Achane, who scored 11 touchdowns and averaged 7.8 yards per carry as a rookie. Dolphins probably won't look to add another speedster at running back. I think they might look at a power back, someone who's a thumper. But in regards of safety, might not be a bad idea since Javon Holland, to get some depth behind Javon Holland, and of course, 1-year contract for 33-year-old Jordan Poyer. A player I like, Fish Tank. This is the guy I was talking about. I said the longer name. Texas Tech's Dadrian Taylor Demerson led all safeties at the combine with a 4.41 40. Just 100th of a second faster than TCU's Nuke Bradford, who did visit recently with the Dolphins. So 2 names to write down, Dolphin fans, that might be in the mid-rounds or late rounds, possible picks for the Dolphins. The other one, we all talk about it. Fish Tank brought it up earlier, which I think everybody knows that Miami needs size at receiver. But this article brings up a great point. Greer has not valued, I don't want to say does not, but has not valued size at receiver. Obviously, we know Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, 5'10", with the 6th overall pick. That's about the size of most receivers he's gone after. The average receiver drafted by Greer is about 7.6 inches tall, or about 5'10", 5'11". Let's see. Tyreek Hill is listed at 5'10". Braxton Barrios, 5'9". And the team's recent interest in a free agent wide receiver, Odell Beckham, 5'11", suggests that Greer is not high, or suggests the receiver, a tall receiver, is not high on Greer's list of priorities.
Yeah.
There are plenty of tall wide receivers in this draft class, but history suggests for Greer, it could be someone more 5'11". Some Dolphin favorites is Xavier Worthy, Texas wide receiver, or Roman Wilson out of Michigan. I have my opinions, but that's a great point out from, I believe, Adam. And then, Fish Tank, you brought it up earlier, the shuttle time. Greer loves a good shuttle time.
Yeah.
The shuttle isn't a headlining drill at the NFL Scouting Combine. It's rarely even aired on television. Dolphins draftees in the last 8 years have usually done well in the shuttle drill. Particularly impressive examples include tight end Mike Gesicki, 4.1 seconds, 95th percentile. Edge rusher Andrew Van Ginkel, 4.14 seconds. 84th percentile. And then safety, Javon Holland, 4.16, 80th percentile. Several players have crushed that drill at the combine, including South Dakota corner Miles Harden, 3.98. Florida wide receiver Ricky Parcell, 4.05. And Western Michigan edge rusher Marshawn Nealon, 4.15 seconds. I would love him on the Dolphins. I think that would be a great pick, maybe at 55.
Didn't Pearsall or Purcell, whatever, Pearsall, didn't he visit with the Dolphins?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Thought he did.
So did Nealon. And this is one you brought up, Fish Tank, when you talk about offensive line. Greer has been bothered by short-armed offensive linemen.
Yeah, he's just...
Typically, it's a good idea to look for offensive linemen with long arms who can beat opponents to the punch and keep them at a distance. Greer seemingly has not subscribed to that philosophy. While his two first-roundmen, Larry Tudwell and Austin Jackson, have arms over 34 inches, the other 8 offensive linemen picked by Greer have dropped the collective average to 33.6. Robert Hunt's 33.5 inches are in the 47th percentile at his position, but he proved to be a good pick, even though now he's gone.
Yeah.
Eichenberg has a 32.4-inch arms that put him in the 5th percentile.
Yeah.
And he has not panned out or hasn't planned out as a really solid investment.
He performed like the 5th percentile so far.
That's right. There are some,
you know, we got to be honest about what's going on, you know?
Fair game. There are some especially short-arm prospects among interior offensive line prospects in this draft. Georgia's Cedric Van Pran Granger has 31.4 inches arms, while Cooper Bebe, Kansas State, 31.5-inch arms.
A lot of people.
So
like
there you go.
Bebe.
Great information. They do. So that's some great information, again, from Adam Stites of DolphinsWire.usatoday.com. So, guys, go check that out. Give him a share his article. Go check it out. Great stuff there. All right. Okay, first I'm going to read up some comments here. As I was reading that, I get to see that. Okay. Javon Ballard out of Georgia, did he visit? I have to double check, Scotty. I thought I saw his name, but I can't verify. I'll check it out later. This is the deepest. Jose Cabrera, thank you for watching. Ender, great to see you, brother. This is the deepest draft in years for the first 130 picks, and we only have 2 picks. We need to trade back and get extra picks. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, I think I think it's not everybody, but bigger majority want Miami to trade back and get some of those picks rather than us run from 55 all the way to 158 with nothing. That's just, wow. Greer has to do something, whether he's trading a 3rd rounder for next year to get something going or something else. I don't know. He needs to change up where we're at, because if not, we're not really going to look as ready as we should. And we're going to miss a lot of great opportunities because there's a lot of great players on that board.
100%. 100%.
I got the hiccups right now. That's why I'm talking weird. Trying to douse them.
Happy birthday to the twins. Constanza's in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday to those twins. Off to party, 9 years old. Call me tomorrow, Evan. Enjoy your day. Call me tomorrow. Wanted to talk to you about something. Let's move on. Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. The big question mark for him, he's putting in the work. There's reports that he's slimming down. He says he's not, but he's putting in the work. He does it all every offseason. He commits to a goal. He's working with John Beck, former Dolphins quarterback. All joking aside, I know people are like, oh, John Beck sucked. How is he going to? First of all, let me just say this. Sometimes the best coaches are the ones who fail. That's the ones who weren't great players are unbelievable coaches. And he does look slimmer. I'm talking about Tua. He looks good, and he's putting the work. And whatever you want to say about Tua as a quarterback, and whether you like him that's a quarterback, dislike him as a Dolphin quarterback, or love him. You know he puts the work. He commits to a goal. He goes to do it and gets it done. We'll see how that translates into the season. Hopefully he wins in December and wins a playoff game. But you can't discredit the work he puts in. But on Thursday at his third annual Luau for Tua, the Dolphins starting quarterback was asked about his current contract negotiations with Miami. He had this to say, Fish Tank. I'm just letting my agent deal with that and talk to teams about that. Talk to the team about that. This is Adam Beasley of Pro Football Network who did post this quote. For me, my focus.
Bobby, before you read that,
go ahead.
I didn't get a chance or didn't get the opportunity to say happy birthday to my grandsons.
Oh my!
So happy birthday!
There you go. All right, Grandpa Hank. Appreciate that.
Sorry, Bobby. I had to do that.
There you go. For me, this is Tua continuing his quote via Adam Beasley of Pro Football Network. For me, my focus is when OTAs come, like how, go to OTAs, show up, and be the best teammate I can be. So it looks like, contract extension or no extension, Tua does not plan on holding out. Fish Tank, what is your reaction to this quote?
If that's the case, he doesn't plan to hold out. That's how all players should be, actually. You have a contract in front of you. You knew what you were going to be getting paid. Play until they pay. That's how it goes. You're going to play until they pay anyway. You're not going to just say, okay, I'm going to sit on the sidelines, because then they'll take your money away anyway. So, there's too many. I think that's a short-sighted view. If you turn around and say to yourself, okay, well, I'm not going to go to work today because they might not pay me tomorrow. That doesn't make any sense. I'm still going to work today. If they don't pay me tomorrow, then I'll worry about that tomorrow.
So for me, I think I like it for Miami. Obviously, it's good news for Miami. It just speaks to on how he is a team player. You and I have talked about this in the past. I see it a different way because I understand when players, especially let's say someone like Tua, we know how much, whether you like Tua or not, how important he is to the team and to team wins. He knows that. He is paid reasonably lower than players in his tier. When you know your worth to the team, and you believe what your worth is, and you're coming up on a contract year, because it's different, Fish Tank, for someone like you and I who have worked for companies or whatever. We know, okay, our goal is to last as long as we can. It's not like we have another company that's going to come and chase us after. We chase those jobs. Where someone like Tua, he's a free agent today. Tomorrow, you're going to have teams that are trying to draft one of these top quarterbacks chasing him instead, so they could go ahead and get the best player available. That's why, and that's why someone like when I'm trying to think who was the recent player, Connor Williams, who held out and people criticized him and he didn't get the new deal, and now he's a free agent and he was out for the season and he didn't get that contract. So for me, I don't blame a player like someone like Tua for holding out if he was going to hold out. But I think it's good news for the Dolphins. I think it shows where Tua's head is. Do I think that if his agent said when it hits the preseason, hey, they're not budging, and Tua with his injury concerns, or injury history, and he says, hey, look, if he gets hurt again, is a team willing to give him top dollars? No. So he might say, hey, you know what? Until I feel secure in my pocket, because I got two kids, I'm young, I'm not guaranteed a job next year because it's the NFL. I want to be able to be still healthy enough to say, hey, then I'm going to hold out. So I think it's great news for the Dolphins. I think it shows that he's thinking the right way. But if he does eventually hold out, I don't blame him. Players of his caliber, especially when a contract year and you think you deserve more money, I won't blame him for doing it. It's going to suck for Miami, but it is what it is.
Well, I don't hold it against somebody. Like if that's his personal decision and him and his agent decide that, I have no qualms with that whatsoever. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's great where a player's actually stepping up and saying, "Look, I want to play." Period. It's refreshing.
Yeah,
it's refreshing because, like you said, 90% of them have to go after that dollar.
Well, and again, Scotty says, I don't think Tier Tua gains anything by holding out. Greer has the cap set to pay him in the fifth, the 5th-year option if it's too risky for Tua. I think it's too. I mean, you got to remember Tua's injury history, and he's playing on a contract year. People were talking about him, telling him he should retire last year or the year before that. If he goes into this year with no contract on the 5th-year option, and he's out for the year or out for a significant amount of time, you think teams are going to be comfortable to pay him big dollars? Tua knows that. You think the Dolphins would be comfortable? Tua knows that. So it's a risk not being given the deal.
Yeah.
So trust me, they're looking at that.
Yeah. Oh. It's a hard decision on both sides. I mean, what do you do? But at the same time, whether you like the contract or think you've outplayed it or you're doing better. I mean, I've been at my job where I felt like I should be paid more. They didn't pay me more. They didn't say, okay, now I'm going to pay you more.
Now, Fish Tank, think about it. We know, and first off, let me just very quick before I get that point. My grandmother watching, I love you, Grandma. I hope you're feeling well. God bless you. Love you.
Hello, Grandma.
It's my grandma, Linda. Love her to death, man. Glad she's watching. But very quick off your point, we've all right. Like we go, man. I should be paid more. I do this. I've done some extra roles. People have left. I've taken those responsibilities, and I'm still paid the same way. Yeah. If we had a job or somebody said, man, you're doing all those, man. Hey, if you left that place, I'm here. Most people go to their manager or their supervisor and say, hey, I have this opportunity waiting for me. I want to stay here. If you could pay me this amount of money, I'll stay. If not, I got to give you my 2 weeks. People do that on a daily basis in their own career. Yeah. Or they, they say, okay, no, I'm going to the other side, and they end up leaving. So it happens all the time. It's just a different way with players. Yeah, they sign these 5-year deals. But again, once you're in that 4th to 5th year, now when you sign it, if you're 2 years in, it's like, hey, wait till your 4th year to ask for more money. Obviously, if you're not Pat Mahomes or something at an elite levels, that superior, you're going to get paid what you get paid. Now, if you're in the 4th, 5th year, you're coming on that contract year, yeah, that's when you start saying, hey, man, you need to pay me more. I'm going to hold out because I need to get paid more, and I got to think about my next job. Hank, you and I, bust my hip. I have a torn labrum. I could wheelchair myself into a desk job tomorrow. Tua can't do that. He can't play on a wheelchair. So
yeah.
I was happy with what Tua said. Jose said that's why we need to keep him upright, fortify the offensive line, draft a big back. Just it's who's trying to fortify the offensive line. He hasn't done well so far. Hopefully he gets it right.
I don't see Greer worrying about drafting a running back though. To be told, I haven't yet. So unless something really drastically changed,
a big back.
No, he usually gets these small, fast guys.
Yeah. So talk about what he usually does. ESPN Analytics. They predicted who the Dolphins would draft.
Yeah.
They have predicted edge rusher, which we've talked about, strong possibility. This is a huge favorite amongst Dolphin fans. Edge rusher Liatu Latu out of UCLA. The way free agency has gone so far, the most likely picks for Miami, as we discussed, is edge rusher, receiver, interior offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Latu, though, he could be picked before, but supposedly his medicals are concerning for players, kind of like Jalen Phillips was a little bit when he came out. Yeah. I think he had 2 season endings. I'm not sure. But
Greer loves to pick players like that.
He loves it. If the Dolphins were to pick Latu with the 21st overall pick, what would be your reaction? Would you love it, hate it, or eh?
I think it would be an because of medical.
Okay.
I think it would be an because of medical if there's that big of a concern. But once they look it over, if they think he's clear, that's a huge up because he's riding around 10 on the big board. So I know he's got a lot he can offer the Miami Dolphins. And with our head coach really liking an edge rusher and all, I'd be stoked. I'd be stoked. Look at Phillips. He's turning out to be pretty good. He got hurt, yeah, but that's a different injury than he had before. Before it was concussions he was worried about, right?
Mm-hmm. And let me just say, JCC and Jay, thank you for watching. Man, if Bowers drops, it's a whole other story. I don't think he does, but if he does, absolutely, that would be unbelievable talent at the tight end group with Janu Smith and him, and obviously him pairing him with Tyreek and Waddle. My goodness, talk about giving some offensive firepower for Tua. But yeah, for Latu, first off, I loved what I've seen from him when watching his film. Explosive, high energy, high motor. You see why he likes it. First off, there's a lot of good guys on UCLA, excuse me. One guy that I like that it's crazy. If you look at all these simulators, Fish Tank, they have him in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Gabriel Murphy, his partner in crime over there in UCLA. I mean, I think he would be a great consolation prize if you don't take an edge rusher in the 1st or 2nd round. If you get Gabriel Murphy in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, holy crap, 4th, 5th round. I would love that. I think he would be a great depth piece. I think he could be an eventual starter for the Dolphins. I would like him. He's
got his twin brothers on the other side too, though.
Can't even handle the weapons we have already, so I don't see another weapon making much of a difference. California, first off, you know how much I love you watching, tuning in, and I love you commentating on this and all that. Let me push back just a little bit. I think everybody understands where I stand on Tua, but he was one of the leading passers. He was a leading MVP till like the close to the midway or past the midway point of the season. He was one of the leading MVPs. He was leading the records. They thought he was going to break some records. Of course, then the offense just fell behind. And of course, we know what happened in December in the playoffs. So I think weapons have helped him had made a huge difference for him. So that's just my point on that. Appreciate you commenting. Fish, you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, he hasn't had a big bodied wide receiver tight end that he can go to consistently. And I don't count Gesicki because when Gesicki was in there, everybody knew it was a pass play. So, they would cover him up. It's not the same if they bring in like a Bowers or somebody like that. You bring in Bowers, you'd be happy. I'd be happy. We'd all be happy. There's no doubt. But California, he's right too, It's kind of, at some point in time, you got to build the trenches first. If you don't start working on those trenches, you're going to have nothing but issues everywhere else. And Miami has put in the time on the offensive line, but they haven't gotten it right. So that means you don't stop. Continue to get them.
California, that's fair, man. You're right. I'm with you. Numbers don't matter to me. It's what have you won. And you're right. So that's a fair point. But in my thing is, you said he can't handle the weapons he has now. Well, he has. It's just with those weapons and everything, the team hasn't been able to win with those. So I fair point. I'll take it that. JCC, I still think they go BPA. Yes, I think that'd be awesome. I don't care who's there. If he's the best player available on the board, you go get him. Or they trade down. Come June, we have another $18 million coming in. That's from Xavier Howard. I think we may grab another offensive lineman, Reisner. Absolutely. I think that's a starting guard. Maybe Lakeland Tomlinson, who just signed. I forgot who he signed with, Seahawks. But I believe him or Reisner were the ones who the Dolphins spoke with. So Reisner would be a great pickup.
Great points.
So finally, Fish Tank.
Yes, sir.
On Twitter, your reaction, Dalton. Nose tackle Tier Tart, Dolphins signed. He was formerly Houston and Tennessee. Solid signing, good depth piece. You proclaimed on Twitter when that move happened, you said, we are going to go offense in the first round of the draft.
Yeah.
Who could that be, in your opinion? Or what position can you see Miami targeting?
That's an interior offensive line for me all day long, unless somebody drops, or unless, coach might want an edge rusher. But I see interior offensive line as our biggest need right now. I wouldn't even mind if we picked up a left tackle with our first draft. That wouldn't bother me at all either. So the line has to be built. It has to. You got to build the Great Wall. That's what Jimmy Johnson did all those years ago in Dallas. He built a Great Wall, and then he plugged in his quarterback and his running back and got his wide receiver. He built a big wall at the same time. And we tried to do that. Greer tried to do that. And it just fell apart on him, unfortunately. It's sad, but when he went to do it, people got hurt. People just didn't work out. There were so many different things, and that's why I say maybe this year he'll take a look at the analytics on who he's picking and pick somebody slightly different.
That's right. We'll probably do a mock draft fish tank based off those metrics and see how we come up with that. But anywho, guys, that about wraps it up for us today. Fitz Talk today. We appreciate you all watching. Fish Tank, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I'm glad we were able to do the show. You've been a little bit busy, and Evan's been a little bit busy for bandwagon. So I'm kind of going, I don't know. I'm just kind of. So I missed you guys. That's what I'm trying to say. I missed you guys.
Appreciate you, brother, as always. All right, guys. We appreciate you all watching. We're 2 weeks away from the draft. Expect a very fun episode next week as we continue to prepare. And, of course, for draft coverage, as always, I always plan to be live throughout the draft. Fitz Talk today, not next week, but obviously the week after during round 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll start it off on draft coverage. We'll be reacting to the Dolphins draft picks. And, of course, I think we'll have another show follow us right after to continue that. So stay with us. Draft coverage like we did last year. We had a blast doing that one. But anyway, guys. Yeah. So do us a favor, like, subscribe, stick with us, and most importantly, as always, fins up.